Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I'm ready.
Navy Talent Acquisition Group, New England. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Station, this is Kelly Hedinger with the Navy Talent Acquisition Group, New England. How do you hear me?
I have you loud and clear, Kelly. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear. All right, fantastic. Well, good morning. Thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning to you in Boston, and thank you so much for wanting to speak with me today.
So we have some questions that we received from sailors in our area of responsibility, as well as some of our future sailors and students at some of our schools. So we'll jump right in if you're ready.
I'm ready. Can't wait to hear your questions.
All right, first question. Why did you join the Navy and decide to serve as one of the first female submarine officers?
I decided I was interested in joining the military from a pretty young age. I was about 13 or 14, and that desire to serve really cemented itself in my young mind when 9/11 happened, actually, and I was really inspired by the way our country came together and responded to that event, the way we supported each other, and I knew that I wanted to serve and be a part of something that was bigger than just me. And so the opportunity to join the Navy for me represented an opportunity to challenge myself academically and physically, but also morally, and to develop myself as a leader and learn how to work really effectively on teams. And for all of those reasons, I was also drawn to the submarine force. I got a chance to participate in some summer training aboard a submarine during my time at the Naval Academy, and I was just so blown away by the sailors in the submarine force, how smart they were, how intrinsically motivated they were, how good at their jobs they were, how funny they were, and the way they really held their junior officers to a high standard, but were willing to develop officers who treated them with respect and who showed up ready to work. And so for me, that was an attractive environment because I knew it would be challenging, but that I would be challenged in a supportive atmosphere where I had teammates who would help me learn from my mistakes and grow. And so for all of those reasons, I wanted to be a submarine warfare officer, and I was just really lucky that the policy changed during my time at the Naval Academy, and they allowed women to serve on submarines at the time of my graduation.
Fantastic. Taking those experiences that you've had, both in your training at the Academy and your qualifications leading up to and on board your time on submarine, what advice do you have for any of those who are interested in joining the military, male or female, in whatever route that they go?
Yeah, you know, one of the really cool things about the military is there are a lot of different things you can do across the services, but for me, I think the Navy offers the most diverse range of experiences and cultures. And so I was really excited at the Naval Academy to learn about all of those different communities, whether that's aviation, submarines, surface warfare, even special warfare. And so for me, I would advise people to really do your research, find the culture that works best for you. I was drawn to the Navy and to the submarine force, and that was a really good fit for me, and it was important that I had a good fit because, like I said, it's an extraordinarily challenging experience. Being a junior sailor or junior officer, you're given a lot of responsibility at a young age and asked to operate right on the edge of your skills and abilities. You're going to make mistakes. And so being around people who you feel confident working with and who you fit in with, I think is really important.
Okay. So those challenges that we face in the military as junior sailors, junior officers, that training that we have to go through that puts so much on us at a young age, do you feel that you faced any setbacks? And when you did, how did you stay motivated to push through those and continue on with your training?
Yeah, nuclear power school was really challenging. I think for everyone going through, being a junior officer on a submarine was super challenging. And I know I keep harping on this, but for me, it really matters who you surround yourself with and the team and the culture you create. Because I've never been a solo adventurer. I'm always somebody who is drawn to team sports, team atmospheres, team jobs. And so for me, being around people who would be honest with me, who would hold me accountable, but who would help teach me how to do it better next time and walk alongside me in that development journey was really, really important. And so, yes, absolutely. I made a ton of mistakes. I had a ton of setbacks along the way. I think everybody does when they're challenging themselves that much. But because I had great mentors around me in the form of my sailors, my chiefs, my peers, and my chain of command, I was able to come back from those things and use them as lessons to make me smarter, a better teammate next time.
That's great. We really do need to rely on those around us to help us through those challenges. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In your training, in your career as a submarine officer, where did you decide that you wanted to be an astronaut?
For me, that realization actually didn't come until after I had served in the submarine force. I was aware of our space program and really inspired by it as a kid, but it wasn't something I ever pictured myself being able to do. I had never honestly considered it until I served on a submarine, and just serendipitously through a mentor, I had the chance to meet an astronaut after my first tour, and talking to her about her experiences in the shuttle program, building the space station that I'm standing in, or floating in, I guess, right now, was just really inspiring to me, because I saw all the parallels between what it takes to put human beings in an atmosphere where they're not designed to be, whether that's under the surface of the ocean or up here in the vacuum of space, and not only live and survive, but thrive and accomplish a mission as a team. And so it was all of those connections, and knowing that I just proven to myself that I could serve on a submarine and make it through that experience, all of a sudden I believed maybe I could become an astronaut, and I got encouraged by mentors to give it a shot and apply, and I'm really grateful I did, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for those incredible mentors.
Well, I know that you are definitely a shining example for all of our junior sailors and officers in the fleet, of what you can do with the training that you receive in the Navy and where you can go. So thank you for that. That's absolutely phenomenal what you've accomplished. Your time on the submarine, do you think that that is what probably prepared you the most for your time in space, seeing as they're a very similar type environment of solitude and like disconnection from necessarily the outside world? Do you see that as your biggest setup for your time in space?
Yeah, absolutely. I rely on my experiences from that time on the submarine every single day in my work as an astronaut. And when I look back at all the parallels, it was just, whether that's how to communicate in an operational context, how to come to a problem where you don't have your equipment operating as it was designed, but you still need it to work, and what are you going to do? And understanding that in a machine as complex as a submarine or a space station, no one person can have all the answers. You really need a team of people who have dedicated their lives to being experts in all of that equipment in order to get the job done. And so understanding how to integrate that knowledge, how to ask the right questions, how to sift out useful information from all of the data, but really how to work on a team, how to be a member of a team who's doing something that huge every single day like it's normal. I definitely rely on those experiences and fall back on the habits, the routines, the skills I learned in the submarine force all of the time.
Had it not been for that serendipitous meeting of the person who is in the space program, where do you think that you would be if you would not be in the space program right now?
I would definitely still be in the Navy as I am right now. I'm really proud that I'm an active duty naval officer and continue in that role as a NASA astronaut. And if I wasn't here on the space station, I'd probably be deployed on a submarine as a department head, along with all of my colleagues in the submarine force. So I am really grateful that I get the chance to serve in this capacity. But if I wasn't here, I think I would still be in the sub force.
Well, that's great news. Do you think that we are celebrating Women's History Month right now? Do you think that being a woman has impacted any of your career decisions or given you different challenges than your male counterparts? You were fortunate in that when you came into the submarine program, it was just being opened up for women. That was very new to the Navy. How do you think that being a woman has impacted some of those decisions that you've made?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I was the beneficiary of some really good timing and really good leadership at the most senior levels of our Navy and government to change policies to open more roles to women. And now every role in the military is open to women, which I think is really, really important. I remember being frustrated during my early years at the Academy when I felt myself drawn to the submarine warfare community and really inspired to serve in it. But at the time, it didn't look like I would ever have that opportunity, at least during my career horizon. And so I was really lucky that they changed that policy such that I don't really think being a woman has impacted the opportunities available to me or the career options available to me. One thing that's been really important to me is having a really supportive partner who shares my values. My husband served in the Army for 10 years in the 82nd Airborne Division as an infantry officer and then as a Green Beret in 3rd Special Forces Group. And so he's not in the Army anymore, but obviously really deeply understands my desire to serve and to push myself in these ways, and not only understands it, but supports it and sees value in supporting me doing that. And so that's been really important to me, to be able to pursue these huge goals, to have the encouragement and someone who's willing to sacrifice alongside me for those things along the way. So kind of a complicated answer to your question, but I really have been lucky to have all of these incredible opportunities.
No, I think that was a great answer, not complicated at all. The question that we get here that we've seen a lot leading up to this interview with you today was, how long and what kind of training is involved in being an astronaut? People think that it's a very long and years long process and very complicated. You've obviously done some of that kind of training already with naval training. So what did you have to do in addition to your naval training that you already had to become an astronaut?
Yeah, thinking about naval specialty training is really similar, a good analog for thinking about how we train as astronauts. So when you first get selected, you're an astronaut candidate for 2 years. And that's kind of like astronaut basic training. We learn all of the fundamental skills we're going to need to apply to a range of future missions. So that includes things like learning how to perform spacewalks, mostly underwater in the neutral buoyancy laboratory we have in Houston, where we have a scale 1-to-1 mock-up of the space station submerged in a pool, and we get in real spacesuits and use neutral buoyancy as an analog for microgravity. We fly in jets, T-38 training jets, to practice our operational decision-making and communication. We learn to speak Russian because of our partnership with our Russian colleagues. We learn how to operate robotics, how to actually fly a robotic arm by hand that we have up here on the space station. And we learn all about the systems that keep us alive up here and allow us to do some incredible science aboard the space station. And so all of that kind of lays the foundation. And then when you get assigned to a specific mission, it's like a pre-deployment workup where you're training specifically for what you're going to be doing during your mission, whether that's the science payloads you'll be interacting with, the spacewalks you're going to do, and you're really practicing those specific procedures and techniques that you're going to need to learn. And so I started training in 2017, about 4.5 years ago, and now I'm on the space station. So that's an indication of it does take years and years to prepare. And it's not just, my individual efforts, but there are thousands of people on the ground who are part of putting me here on the space station just to be able to talk to you.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. The amount of work that goes into what you're doing and the time and people that it took to get you to where you are is, it, I don't even know if I could think of a word for it. Like, that's just incomprehensible to how much actually goes into it. So thank you for that. Like, that's amazing. All that training and all that work that you do and all that technical stuff that you did to get up to where you are. Obviously, that's not 24 hours a day. That's not what you're doing. So some of the questions that we get are, how do you go about your daily routine in space? Not necessarily just with your job tasking, but eating, training, any kind of hobbies or entertainment that you do in space. What does a normal day look like for you?
A normal work day, we work from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night, and that's bookended by planning conferences with our mission control centers all across the world. And something that's a little bit different from a typical Navy ship or submarine is only a small part of our crew is actually aboard the space station. There are 7 of us up here right now, and the majority of our crew is really the flight control teams all around the world who work in shift work 24 hours a day to help support the vehicle and support us and keep us alive and happy so that we can do good work up here. So we actually all work on the same schedule. We're not in shift work up here, so we all sleep at the same time and we're all on the same day shift. So that's really nice because we get to spend a lot of quality time together, and that's one way we really spend our free time is just hanging out with our friends, our crewmates. But during the day, we'll do anything from execute a science experiment to fix the toilet if it's broken. A lot like being underway on the ship, like we have to be the plumbers, we have to be the electricians, we have to be able to fix everything and keep it working correctly. But it's a pretty normal life. I mean, our food is kind of like camping food or MREs. We either rehydrate it or reheat the exact same kind of food that we have in MREs. But we also get to do some really cool things that are just kind of hard to wrap your mind around. Yesterday, my crewmate Raja and I were outside doing a spacewalk for 7 hours. So every day is a little bit different, and it's always really exciting and a cool team to be a part of.
Oh my gosh. So that's amazing. Spacewalking, nobody ever really thinks about that on a day-to-day basis. The training that you did leading up to going to the space station and then the flight up to the space station, what feelings did you experience, and how did the different sensations of zero gravity, how do you think that affected your body and you personally? Like, just how did you experience that?
Yeah, launch was a really incredidible experience because we actually had some launch delays. So by the time we were actually in our vehicle on the launch pad, we were really, really ready to go. We were super prepared. Our training was incredible, and we were already a really cohesive team. So as we were working through getting the vehicle up and running and working with the ground team for launch, I think we just felt like we were in the zone and our training had prepared us. And as the terminal count was counting down, 10 down to liftoff, I just had maybe the purest emotion I've ever felt of just complete joy and excitement. And as the rocket left the pad, you could actually feel the liftoff. I just cried a couple tears of pure joy. It was just so overwhelming and so exciting to be finally heading to space after dreaming of it for so long. And then being up here is just amazing. It definitely takes a while to get used to. You might notice I can let go of the microphone and it floats, which is really cool, but also really challenging when you're working. I'm sure a lot of the sailors can relate to, like, imagine all your tools out as you're fixing a turbine generator or something. We do similar maintenance items up here, and if you let go of your tool for a second, it's like the ship pitching in the middle of the ocean. You might never see it again. It'll go down in the bilge, and in this case, just float off. You might not find it for a long time, and so it's a lot to get used to. You have to form new habits. You have to learn how to move around again, because we obviously don't walk normally up here. You just kind of, we call it translating. You're essentially flying, because up here it feels like we're weightless, so I can float. But if I want to move around, I have to find a handrail to kind of control my body. So it's definitely a lot to get used to, but it's really fun to have the opportunity to live in this environment for 6 months.
All right. Well, I think that is nearing the end of our time. I want to thank you so much for meeting with us and talking with us. This has been an absolutely fantastic opportunity. I know that all of our future sailors and students who are watching this are just so excited to be able to see you and to be able to talk with you. So I just want to say thank you and good luck on the rest of your tour on board the space station and safe travels back home when you reach us. And thank you.
Thank you so much. The Navy is near and dear to my heart, and so it's so exciting to talk to you. Thank you for your support of the space program, and thanks to everyone who's tuning in for your service and your decision to commit your life to serving our country.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all participants from the Navy Talent Acquisition Group, New England Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.